Angela Lynn, Democratic candidate in the 25th House District. Angela, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, it's September of 2015. I'm doing a politics interview, so I've got to kind of ask a question. What do you think of Donald Trump? I'm kind of having some fun with that, but, it does seem like every reporter who talks politics has to ask. Maybe the question should be, how difficult is it running a 2015 House legislative race with all the attention the 2016 race is already getting? Has that made the job harder, or maybe has that made it easier because people are paying attention to politics?
It's not easier for those who really do want their voters to be informed, because it is a great distractor of actually getting people to concentrate on the home local politics and be able to ask the questions of the local officials and the local challengers. What is important to them. In that sense, it's not good. And the other way I kind of perceive this going is whatever their talking points are not necessarily what we are representing, and so you don't want to have those supersede the important issues here at home. So that's how I feel about that.
And for our listeners out there, don't worry. I'll facetiously say that we'll call the Trump campaign for comment, because that seems to also be a prerequisite in this day and age. Shifting gears now to real substantive issues. I guess first off, I should just ask, Angela, give us a state of the campaign update. We're past Labor Day now. We're second half of the month of September. We're not that far away from November 3rd. Give us a sort of an update of where things are.
Well, I'm still at doors. I'm still going and visiting a lot of people's homes and businesses and calling every night to make sure that they're aware of, number one, what district they're in and who they're represented by, and why I am running and why I would like their vote. And so those are still things that are definitely on the radar, because a lot of people are still need to be reached and need to come out to vote. We have a historically low turnout in the state elections, and we'd like to change that. So changing that has been just getting to the homes and getting to the people and asking them to please pay attention to this election, because this election has much to do with everything that happens in their daily lives, and it's the most important vote you can make. So be informed and be able to confidently go to the ballot box.
Kind of ticking through some things I've seen in the news regarding the 25th district race in recent days. I know that I saw some numbers, campaign finance related numbers. I know campaign finance has been an issue you've been playing up in your campaign, but certainly your opponent Steve Landis, and seeing just the massive campaign war chest he's been able to put together, and a lot of money from out of state, from PACs and that kind of thing. As you talk with voters, Angela, how does this issue resonate with them that it maybe feels like their legislators bought and paid for?
Well, right now, his campaigns are 23% of his donations are from individuals. The rest are from large entities, and one out of every top 10 of his of the top 10 of his supporters are not in that 25% bracket where we have a lot of we should be looking at who is being served by the politicians that are being supported by large entities. Now, that is a big problem for people in the trust issue, and we want to be able to trust that when we vote for someone, when we send them to represent us, they're actually representing us. So I think if they're bought and paid for politicians, that this is something we can do something about. We can start voting for people who aren't going to be obliging to someone who's given them a lot of money, or a corporation, or a special entity. So those things are very clear, and they're transparent on public information, and it's easy to find out who's getting from where, who's getting from what source.
What are your thoughts on the way Virginia does things currently? Right now, it seems like, if I can summarize, and I maybe editorialize as I summarize, the way we treat campaign finance, it's pretty much anybody can give you as much money as they want to. the candidates are supposed to report that amount of money, and then, as you said, people can look that up. It's transparent. But do you think that's an effective system, or down the line can we do some things to maybe mirror more of the federal system that does put some limits on the amount of money individuals and PACs can give?
Oh, it absolutely needs more oversight. And I've always been, I believe in campaign finance reform. I believe in being able to bring ethics and transparency back to the voters and to make sure that our representatives are representing a constituent. But if we don't do that, then there's always going to be this looming problem of more money for more special interests and not necessarily for the people who live here and the people who rely on their politicians to fight for them.
Yes. Shifting gears a bit, I've been kind of ticking through the different endorsements you've picked up in recent weeks, and one that caught my attention this week, the LGBT caucus of the Democratic Party, and I bring that up in the context of what a historic summer, I guess, we've seen in the United States with the Supreme Court ruling on gay marriage and gay marriage equality across the United States. Talk about this endorsement from the LGBT caucus of the Democratic Party and what you think that can mean to voters in the 25th District and also to your campaign.
Well, I am very proud to be able to represent all people in Virginia and to make sure that discrimination is not going to be a part of our makeup, because I believe that singling out anybody, the LGBT group or anybody, is wrong. It's not just wrong, it's criminal. And I would fight for them to have equal housing and equal protection under the law. And Steve Landis voted to discriminate against the LGBT community by voting for legislation not to allow them to allow couples to adopt, and rejecting Virginia's first openly gay judge. And then he wants legislation to force LGBT teens to go into foster care into homes that think to introduce them to new behaviors. And so these are things that I would fight for this group because they deserve equal rights and equal protection. And I'm going to be at a Pride Festival tomorrow in Charlottesville at Lee Park, and I was represented at the Pride Festival with my team in Harrisonburg, and like I said, it's an honor and a privilege to represent that all Americans and all Virginians are not discriminated against.
I want to get your thoughts on some news from just yesterday, actually, I guess second part of the day yesterday, regarding the State Board of Health voting to overturn those trap regulations from a few years ago, pushed by several members of the Republican Party, the leadership of both the House and the General Assembly, then Governor McDonnell. The Board of Health voting yesterday to reverse those regulations and regarding women's health centers, and maybe this will lead to some positive moves there too. Just your thoughts on that vote yesterday.
Well, overturning those regulations is a very good thing because there are people working very hard for the rights of women to have some choices in their health care, and I support those rights. I support women's rights for their concerns in their own health care. And I will fight for those rights.
And maybe also, this hasn't come up again recently, I guess, but the Medicaid issue that's ongoing in Richmond, the discussion initiated by Governor McAuliffe as he was running for governor in 2013 to expand the state Medicaid system. We continue to have this battle. The polls show that Virginians overwhelmingly support expanding the Medicaid system, and yet Republicans in Richmond have been very stubborn in fighting back against that. What do we need to do to get some movement in the right direction there?
Well, I've been talking about Medicaid expansion because it was an error in judgment for them to not expand Medicaid, and that we now need to go back to talking about our healthcare needs, the jobs that we're losing, the people that aren't being served. This is just something that we need to keep on because we are losing $5 million a day. Now, I understand that some people believe, and they still believe it's going to be a burden on taxpayers, but actually, with the increase in jobs and economics, we would be more than able to cover our costs. But to lose this money and to lose these opportunities and to lose these jobs, you see these healthcare centers, the mental health people asking for this to be a major return to discussion because they need the finances. You see the healthcare centers that are having dire needs with funding, and the Virginia executives of our healthcare centers are saying, you are making this impossible for us to meet the funding that's been cut. So could we please stop demonizing this Medicaid expansion and get back to work as we should in our governance and pass it? So I believe it is something they don't want to admit. They made a mistake, but they did, and they need to get back on track with passing Medicaid expansion.
So we've been talking healthcare. Now let's talk some employment rights, labor relations. I know you got an endorsement recently from the Virginia AFL-CIO. There's been a lot of attention in the last few weeks across the country, at the national level as well, about the minimum wage issue, fair wage issues. In the context of those discussions, talk about the AFL-CIO and just your, what that endorsement means to you and also to your campaign.
Well, as what was written about me as a wife of a man who's been in a union his entire career with American Airlines, that union has made our lives more than safe, and good wages and safety involved with the pilots and all of the people that are involved, and we enjoy the benefits of that. So I believe in everyone having a living wage and being able to have some discussion in the workplace on their rights. And also what's happening is this minimum wage right now is below the federal poverty line is what we're seeing in this district. So we need to ensure that there is fair and protected workplaces and make sure that their wages are something that are negotiable and not just something that is they have no rights, especially in our real rural areas and those types of industries that may have cut out the workers' voice, and they need their voice reinstated, and I'm willing to be able to work for that.
It's interesting as we look at the national political scene. Scott Walker, even though his campaign is treading water right now, he's trying to revive it in part by playing up what he's done in Wisconsin to really cripple unions, and he's proposing to do so on a federal level. And then on the other side, we have so many positive developments in the fair wage and minimum wage movement. So there's so much attention put on this right now. But I guess we just don't know where it's going to go from here.
Well, I think where it's going to go from here are the people who are actually being affected, the middle class and the people who are working and not feeling that they can make ends meet no matter how hard they work are going to have to step up and make sure that they're voting out these people who would like to harm them more. I mean, the time is way past for us to be paying attention to our middle class and our working poor, and it's growing every day in America with people with the wolf at the door. So let's get back to being mobile, and let's get our middle class strong again, and let's make sure that those people who are not in the camp of making sure that it's a strong middle class are voted out.
So, Angela, as we wrap up our interview here, you mentioned earlier in the interview a couple things you're doing this weekend. Maybe give us a list of some things you have coming up both this weekend and the next week or so with your campaign.
Well, tonight I am going to be at a day of recognition for MIAs and POWs. So I'll be in Harrisonburg at a ceremony tonight, which I'm very honored to be invited to. And I'm going with my husband, who's a veteran, and so I have 2 kids in the military right now. I have nephews who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I understand the military issue, and I understand the need for people if we're going to send people to war, then we need to take care of them and their families. And so this is something I'm very proud to be at. And then I'll be at this weekend. Like I talked about Sunday, I'm there at Albemarle Democrats Barbecue here in Albemarle, and then I'll be at the Pride Festival in Charlottesville in Lee Park. And then next Friday, I'll be at a pipeline event in Harrisonburg at the Seven Arrows Brewery, and that's to reiterate my stand on the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, which I've always felt is a flawed plan and get the people who are going to be directly affected, again, some representatives that actually will fight for them. And then Sunday, I'll be at a meet and greet.
A busy schedule, as you can guess.
Yeah,
Gosh, you're just going to be all over the place.
And I'm still willing to come out and see whoever would like me to visit their group or get a chance to talk to people. Contacting and being there in person is my best way to communicate, but I understand, for a lot of people, they can't be all the places I'm at, but I'll get to as many as I can, and I'll get to your door if you ask me to come in your neighborhood. I'd be more than happy to visit.
We've been
You can contact me.
Yes, give us the website again for your campaign.
It's Lynn, Lynn, for Virginia.com, lynnforvirginia.com, or they can email me at Lynn with the number 4 Virginia at lynnforvirginia@gmail.com. But I look forward to hearing from people. This is about their voice. This is about their race and a representative that wants to work for them. And so if I'm not hearing from you, I'm trying to get your chance to have something to say, and I'm going to say it for you.
Angela Lynn is a Democratic nominee in the 25th House District. And Angela, I want to thank you for your time. And we got to do this again soon. We got to keep people up to date on what you have going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris, and thanks to your listeners. Thank you.